You can call me Luna. I'm studying in the Hong Kong Metropolitan University. I'm a year 3 student right now, and I just got back from my work and travel program. I'm taking English bachelor's degree, English literature and culture. I found out about the program through my university's email. Whenever they have events, they would notify you, and that's how I found out. But I guess what interested me about this program was it took place in like a country that's like so different from what I'm used to, especially the fact that I've never really left Asia. I guess like it's mostly because like I was like so in touch in like Western media, like specifically American media, American culture. So in a way it's, and not only that, but then like I really am fascinated by American culture, and to just like not only just take in like my new surroundings, but to appreciate the country more. It actually makes the event more exciting. Yes, the scholarship, this scheme has like a 10,000 prize, and I think they have like a certain GPA. I think it was like, which I'm like eligible for. The fact that I had like I completed my program successfully. So far, like I've stayed like 3 months and a half in the United States. For the most part of my stay, I lived in Wisconsin because I worked there, and since my plane in Chicago, I would like go around Chicago, maybe even in like Indiana too. But for the most part, I've been in Wisconsin, specifically Wisconsin Dells. I've also visited the capital of Wisconsin, which is in Madison. The company that I work for is called Bunyan's Cookie. I work in like a gift shop as a cashier, and sometimes I would talk to customers. I would answer customers' phone calls. For the most part, I would be like not only like deal with the transactions, but to greet people and ask them how their day is, to ask them to answer their concerns, and sometimes they would ask about the location. They would ask for help, like suggestion, and I would have to be familiar about the place I live. The gift shop and the restaurant is kind of connected because they're kind of in the same building. The gift shop is like the first the customers would see when they enter the restaurant. I live in like a small housing that was owned by the company, and that's also the same house where like all the other chickens live. So it's more like a roommate situation. The first few days was a bit interesting because I made the great mistake of like not being very familiar with their coins have come in like very different sizes, and sometimes like just by looking it doesn't make sense at first. But it's also like the getting used to like the culture as well. In the United States, you kind of have to be more sociable, and like because like me, I'm usually very quiet person. Maybe I couldn't survive it here, but like in the United States, I guess like sociableness and like cheerfulness, a very important part about I guess like customer service. But so far, like everyone has been really helpful and understanding. Sometimes I make mistakes. I guess just because like like Americans, like their personality makes it easier to kind of open up to them, so it comes more naturally in a sense. And sometimes there's like I guess like a cultural barrier. Like sometimes when you're at work and they would start like asking like how your day is, or somehow I kind of have to get used to it. And also since it's kind of in the job description, like it's something that I just have to put up with too. I had to live with like 14 other J1 students, and they're from like all different parts of the world. I think I've only 3 in Taiwan, I think, and they all work in like the same workplace as I do, but I guess only like a handful works. The gift shop are mostly, I guess like 90% like J1 students too, so we're kind of like learning together. And like most of them are from Eastern Europe, like Moldova, Russia. I had someone from Kazakhstan. I had someone from Botswana and Greece. As you can see, it's a very diverse. My closest like roommate is from Jamaica because I remember us like making like this huge dinner. It's almost like a feast. I had some roommates from Nigeria, and the girls would be very into like the nightlife, and they would talk about how they would like party like, from 2 a.m. to like till like morning. I guess I've learned a few sort of like cultural habits or like that other like that people from like around the world would have, which I found so interesting. The girls from Nigeria, for instance, they're Muslims, and they would have like their rituals at very different times of the day. Like one of them had them at like 4 a.m. in the morning, which I thought was a bit interesting at first. For the most part, I only have like 6 days 6 days to work, so I only have like 1 day off. Depending on the day, it can be like from 9 a.m. to like 6 p.m. or 5 p.m. It really depends on like the schedule, because the schedule is different, and sometimes it changes, and the hours can be kind of different as well. So some days I can from like in like 5 hours or 7 hours or even 10 hours. For the most part, it's usually like I would usually start work at like 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. or sometimes in the afternoon too. 40 hours per week usually. My salary is not 10, but it's like 12 per hour if I remember. We don't get tips like cashiers. We don't really get tips. That's for the bussers. 12 per hour. It's like a very set amount that we usually get. That's very consistent. Oh, so sometimes the restaurant would have like leftovers, but you can only get the leftovers if you work in the night shift. But sometimes, since I don't work in the night shift, I would have to either like cook like my meals myself, or sometimes I would go to the restaurants. But for the most part, like how it works is that since like I live with my roommates, sometimes my roommate, especially my closest roommate, from Jamaica, we would kind of like take turns like cooking meals for each other. It may be like a little bit far away, like a 20-minute walk from the closest like town, but it's like everything's like pretty much accessible. Unless you want to go to Walmart, you have to take like a taxi or an Uber for that, which usually costs around like 8 USD. So like everything is accessible. We have a certain like schedule that we stick to, at least me and my closest roommate. So in the morning we would like pay our rent, and we would go to the laundromat, and after we're done we would go to Walmart, because like the laundromat is close to Walmart, so that's convenient. We would sometimes like stroll around the nearest neighborhood, because sometimes they have like a lot of bars there, or if we're like really tired we could just rest. Oh, so I guess like one thing that I noticed about the US that is different from like here is that how quiet and isolated everything is. Like especially when like it's late out, there's really not a lot of people, and even then it's sometimes kind of quiet too, because like over here there's like people everywhere. It's always busy. And I guess like what is different from the from Wisconsin Dells to Hong Kong was like how there's not a lot of people compared to like over here, and sometimes it can be a little bit like quiet or deserted. And since we like from where I live, it's kind of close, we're kind of like surrounded with nature, like trees and grass. You'd see more of the like raccoons, like squirrels, bunnies. We also saw a deer once, and it was really interesting. The traveling side, I've like went to the cinema. I've been to many like parks, but I think that the thing that like excited me the most was one of which was the mini golf because I really like the atmosphere, how like for mini golf they make it seem so fun and kind of like a playground too. Traveling, we also went to Madison. We were only there for a day, but I still think that it was kind of worth like the 2-hour drive there. There's a lot of beautiful stuff in Madison. We went to Madison, which is the capital of Wisconsin, and we were only there for like 6 hours. But we went to the university, and we went to a park in Madison. We also went to the malls there. As for like major cities, yeah, but I've also been to like Paraiso in Indiana, which is very close to Chicago, but I was only there like for a short time. I guess like the one thing that interests me about the Midwestern part of the United States was that it's like so different from like the cities. It's like every time I heard about the cities like New York or Chicago or places like that, it's like they're okay, but sometimes part of them it kind of reminds me of home, and for some odd reason I kind of don't want them to remind me of home. I want to go to some places that I've never been to before, and it's like I guess like the uniqueness of like more suburban places in the United States. I think they're kind of worth going to because I've been in like I've basically lived in like the more suburban parts of the United States. I'd say that they have given me like quite a culture shock in a good way. Well, they're kind of not like my expectations from what I've seen on TV. I'm like still very glad that I had this experience. I kind of would prefer compared to the more city life, like the East and West Coast in the United States. In my opinion, I guess like anyone who loves the Midwest should or people who likes the more of like the quiet type of environment, especially one that is very close to nature, because a lot of the suburban types I guess they have like more parks, more nature. At least not all of them, but some of them do. And compared to the city life, I feel like the Midwest has more, I guess like more to offer in the sense that it's something that's new. Like they have fairs, they have festivals, they have all types of like old fashioned buildings or like events that you can go to and like really mingle with the locals compared to the cities. Festivals like the popcorn festivals, something like that, where it would sometimes like interesting performances, and also like we have like lots of like diners too. I think like people who are very interested in like watching like American television would be very interested in like American diners, because to me they're kind of like one of the highlights of American culture. So I've only traveled like before my program, but like after that I just went straight back home, because it's mostly because of like my school starts like very early. Apart from the places that I've mentioned, for the most part, like I've been like in Wisconsin. Sorry, I guess it's like most of my schedule too. Like I work like 6 days a week. It's mostly because of my like time constraints, I guess. Because like I notice when people are traveling, they're always like staying in the very touristy place. Like at least like when you're actually like working there and staying there, you get to actually like I guess like slow down and like really interact with the locals too. So I guess the one thing that I've learned like was like how to be like self-reliant, I guess, because going to the United States by myself is a very like daunting experience, especially the fact that it's basically like also my first time like flying a plane and being all by myself in this new country that I've never been to. And also like I guess like how to kind of manage my time better, because I'm also working. I also have to manage the like paying rent, like all the adult stuff, like cooking meals for myself, like doing the chores as well, while also like trying to have like, somewhat of a social life, which is it's not very easy to do. And also I guess like the culture shock at first. There's some things that I just don't understand. Like I guess like the social aspect is it's still very like overwhelming for me, but in a sense I also kind of learned to kind of like embrace it, and because like I came to the United States to learn and to work as well. It's kind of my job to kind of assimilate with the locals, and I guess like to try to like assimilate and kind of like learn the culture and kind of be accepting too is something that I've kind of learned from it. Like how it works is that we would have like at least like 1,000 USD bi-weekly. Around like half of the money is used for like rent and for food and other like commodity. The money that I saved up is also used for like paying, you know, like going to places like the bars or like theme parks, or sometimes like before I would go home, I would buy stuff for my family as well. I'm not sure about like an estimate of like how much I spent here, but I'd say like I guess I've used up like 30 or 40% of like my earnings for my program fees as well. Some money was used for like I guess for, you know, buying stuff for my parents, the flight tickets. I definitely recommend this program a lot, yeah, because you get to learn a lot, and I guess it's also more of like a like a personal development too, if that makes sense. You know, you get to start doing things on your own, and you're kind of forced to be self-reliant. And it's also like American culture is something to appreciate as well, especially when you're not used to it. It's kind of like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. So to anyone who's like at least a bit interested in like American culture, or especially when like they're from like the English majors or programs, it's also a way to like improve their English, especially in like the workforce as well. It makes them more confident. I highly recommend Go Abroad USA because they make the process, like the visa process, so much easier, and they always have you like equipped with like Zoom meetings to keep you prepared. I highly recommend